Okay, here we go.
I call this public meeting of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District to order. Let our record show that a quorum of board members is present and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Welcome to the report session of the meeting tonight. And the first report is about board member continuing education. I'm proud to announce that all board members have met or exceeded the required training hours for the period of April 16th, 2018 through April 22nd, 2019, and have received a copy of the framework for school board development, which was attached in the board book tonight. So congratulations, all the board members have met their hours. Marilyn led us with 34 and a half, so she's not here to hear the accolades. But that's required to be read now before at the last meeting before the election, so that's why that change. Our second report is operations. Mr. Clete Welch.
So we have a few pictures. We'll start off with the construction part and Marine Creek Middle School. So what you see there is in the athletic area, in the locker rooms, they're painted the color that was chosen. That's not the best picture on the lockers. I think if you look at it, it looks like there's two different shades, but it is a consistent dark blue that we had chosen. And then you have the horse head, which is when you come into the main entrance, it's up on the wall to your right. And then that long hallway was kind of a natural spot to put it there where the concession stand, restrooms are located. Kind of gives a depth to that long hallway in that area. When you come into that main area, this is the covered walkway, and you can see the soffit. It's in brown and it's almost completely completed at this time. You see one little section there that's not, and then you have canopies that are going in the courtyard area. Stair railings along the area A, along the learning ledge there, and then also you have the cafeteria and some of the fixtures that are the light fixtures, the sound panels, projection screen, and audiovisual is in place in that location. During the classroom wings, you see the aluminum door frames that are being installed. This is in the office area and in area A. And then in the fine arts, you have the sound diffusers, ceiling diffusers, and sound panels. And then in between those two whiteboards that will pull that white off, and that's where the TV screen will go in that area. And then the bottom right picture, that's where the collaboration area in the hallway is located and where the kids have the opportunity to go out there and work on projects. And you can see some of the glass, it's shaded, some of it's not, so you can still have supervision when the teacher's not out there.
Is it shaded glass where they can write on it? Is that?
They can, yes.
That kind of, okay.
Yeah, we went back and forth with either glass or the whiteboards. Felt like the glass could be a little bit easier to clean up more consistently, not look dated. Front entrance, so they were working on the canopy, and so they got the CMU center blocks that are going in, then those get outlined in the rock. So that, as of today, that's almost complete. And then the big part up there, where it's in black, and it has the stones already in there. It says Marine Creek Middle School and that, and it's capped off. It really looks really good. And the far left, the guys working on that's putting in the nano wall, which is the big glass movable wall, and they're putting the track in and getting it leveled up. Is what they're doing in that picture. So that's in the media center, the bottom one. Any questions about Marine Creek? I mean, it's still moving along. It's kind of fast and furious.
They're going to get it to us on time?
We're going to start moving that furniture in June.
All right.
Still plan on turning the keys over July the 8th. Moving to Copper Creek, so that's really kind of what happened the first 3 weeks. You had the bulldozers, the rock equipment, the excavators, and this is on the northern part of the property, and you can see they have the claws out, and it's pretty hard rock in that area. But they got the pad, got it cut down to grade. The site plans are complete, and as of, I guess about 20 minutes ago, we've got right under about 40 piers that have already been drilled. The holes are, 24 to 27 feet deep. They've got the rebar cages that go down in there, then they come in there with the concrete, and they're setting up later to support the building. So that's working in the far area by the kitchen and the cafeteria where they're starting that process. So that's where you have, where it has the most lift, so that's the deepest piers that we'll have. And as you move up toward the north, you can see you're gonna be on a lot of rock.
No surprises in the pier drilling that they shared with you?
No, not yet. I was worried about all the rain we've received and all those things, but, pad's holding up well to it, and, been pleased with it. If you look real close, this kind of gives you an idea. It's not real fancy, but it is the pad. You see the stakes where the building corners are located. And the bottom left one over, you see there's the stake there, and there's one to the north, and that's one of the wings. Then the far one on the right, where the guys are working on the surveying, that's the western side of the building, so that's the L that it forms. And then the excavator on top, that's just that rock where that dozer was at. So that's gonna be a pretty steep grade in that area, then it levels off. Any questions about that project? It's Highland Creek View, you can see some tile work that's been done on that project, and they've got both sides of the sheetrock. It's been prime painted, that part of it. You've got the HVAC materials being put in place. Then working on the ceiling grid and some of the millwork being put in place. So not a lot of pictures there, but right now, as long as we don't get a hiccup there, we should be finished with that administrative area, which was the old library before, right when school's out, and we're still on plan on shifting those over right as school's out. Just making sure we get all our materials and get them in on time. Any questions about that project? Okay, there wasn't much on Bryson. They have the trailer out there, they have the pod out there, and they've got the fencing around it where it's protected. One thing, they have started taking the brick off the gym and prepping for that. But again, they're kind of waiting on all their supplies to come in also. But they are mobilized and started chipping away at some things. Okay, so I went out Lake Country site just to give you an idea. And of course the grass grows and you really can't see it. But the first picture there, that is, if you're on top of the 9 green where they used to sand traps, and the green, that's it. Looking off to the property, the 19 acres is where the tree line's located. What we have negotiated with the church is actually that green right in there going to the north along that fairway. And then also an exit onto Spring Drive next to the clubhouse. And then on the one on the right is, Mr. Newcomb, you mentioned that one. That is the entrance, one of the entrance to the school site that's kind of through that little slough area. Mm-hmm. So maybe we can be able to move that over. It's not the ideal location there, so we'll have to do a lot of work on that one.
Is that on Lake Country Drive?
That one's on Lake Country Drive.
And the other one will come out on Spring Road?
And the other one come out on Spring Road.
So we kind of went up and made an L out of it, I guess, towards that parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
We bought the parking lot, not this side of the clubhouse, the north side of the clubhouse?
The north side of the clubhouse.
Okay.
Sure did.
So does it butt up to those condominiums and townhomes?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll have a little bit of buffer there. The road on the Spring, there will not be much buffer, but you have the 9th fairway, and then that'll just, the building per se won't be right there. That'll be on the parking lot a little bit, so there'll be a little bit of buffer there. So, but as you can, hopefully you can see, that's just the flattest area of that whole property. So being able to come back to the east it was important to get that, I think. And this, some other quick things on our security upgrades. We met with the contractor again. They've got the materials. We had testing last week, so they'll continue to keep preparing and getting things lined out, and then we'll go to certain schools at certain times and start wheeling those projects out. They've started to pull the cabling for the new cameras already, so sometimes they do that at night, sometimes they do it in the day. It just depends on what the campus has going on, and they've been doing a good job of working with the campus as far as the testing and trying to stay out of the way. So that's been going along. The elementary shade structures, they'll be ordered. They've been ordered. They'll be installed. There's the campuses those 5 campuses that will be installing those this summer. The Boswell turf projects will be mobilized hopefully this week, depending on the rain. But the equipment should come out. They'll be on the auxiliary far east side in the beginning. And so they'll fence up the whole project, keep traffic out of that, students and so forth. So it's It'll be a pretty deep hole over there, so we'll have to really monitor, make sure those fences stay locked and closed.
Mr. Welch, on those elementary shade structures, so we're gonna have a standard that, each campus will have the same ones like, you know, like say the ones out at the Hafley, or the ones I'm thinking of is Hafley and Lake
Well,
Point?
The ones that I would say are the standard, are the ones that we put in at Saginaw Elementary and Dozier. There's the two that come, they butt right up to each other. So that's what we're putting in on these. We do not have a plan for any current existing ones. So if they break or tear, then we'd have to come back with some form of CIP, and then I would recommend then we come in with our standard of what we
What
put in.
is that structure on the top? What does that make? Is that metal, or is it nylon?
No,
or-
it's that kind of vinyl weave product.
Okay, it then is pretty enduring.
Yes, but, you know, it wears. It's not like a metal roof, for sure.
Thank you.
Why would we not put the metal in?
It just comes to a cost factor.
Kind of a value thing too. How many
It
times
is.
you gotta change it out?
It is. I mean, it depends on the weather, you know, how much snow and it's the elements that, sometimes you can't control or what's gonna happen, but the more harsh weather, I mean, just the more wear and tear it gets on, it sure does. High winds, things like
The
that.
shades, you mean?
Yeah, for the shade
canvas,
structures.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, especially some of those ones that I believe were put in that were probably not as strong as what we're putting in now. The folks that put them in, they did what they could put in, but they don't seem to last as, the current ones we have, I have not seen them tear like the ones that, the original ones I've seen put on elementary campuses. Then we have some shade structures. The Chisholm Trail already has this product, so we put that in Saginaw and Boswell. So we have those quotes working on that. And then Watson, they really don't have a place. There's two buildings there put together. You have the original building, then you had the Watson side, and there's a cafeteria in the middle. So the kids really don't have they can go outside, but there's really no shade to it. And so we want to put something concrete out there, a little shade structure, so if they want to go outside, they can go outside and enjoy the kind of the weather out there if it's nice. So they don't have much over there on that facility. And then I just have the Lake Country site. We have that as an action item tonight for your consideration. Any other questions we have? Going back, I do have one to do over at Marine Creek, the green turf showed up. Started Saturday, so they started laying it down and started gluing it together, so makes a big difference. So it's moving right along.
All right, thank you, Clete. Next is a transportation report. Mr. Dwayne Jones. Evening.
Good evening, Mr. Newcomb, trustees, Dr. Chadwell. Yes, I'm here to just give a transportation update. We're completing year 3 of the initial 3-year agreement that was awarded through an RFP back in April 2016. That RFP allowed also for 2 one-year annual renewals, so that's what we've been working on. The operations department has been negotiating and discussing the renewal proposal with GST for the 1920 school year. There was quite a bit of information that was provided. I'm not going to read through it all and bore you with that, but I'll just highlight some of the key points. On the bottom of that first page of the exhibit, just kind of goes over the proposal that GST has provided. For the 1920 school year, they're looking at doing an 8% increase overall to the base pricing that we currently have. 8% would amount to, in dollars, to about a $440,000 annual increase. That would allow for a 50-cent increase for bus driver to a bus driver wage rate, and that would take it from $18 to $18.50. That'll allow us also to remain competitive. As you can imagine, there's a lot of the other districts that surround us that are pulling in from the same pool of applicants that we pull from. So in order to try and remain competitive and get the best drivers that we can for our students, we need to try and up that starting wage rate just a little bit. That also will replace 20 buses from our current fleet We have a current fleet right now of 119 buses, but it is aging. And so just to try and keep that average age of the entire fleet down, this will allow for the replacement of 20 of those that we can get new, and we're going to go with the propane-powered buses for the replacements. So the second part of that is just, it's going over of what they at least proposed for the 2021 school year. And you can just kind of read through those. It's very similar to their proposal for the 1920 school year. Also included in that, I provided, there was a couple of charts that just kind of compared, just more for informational purposes, just compared the base rate increase to the starting driver wage over the last 10 years. We've had over a 10-year period, we've only increased the base rate by 9% versus we have brought the driver wage up to try, as I said, to try and remain competitive. But the 9% increase over a 10-year period is very minimal, especially in this industry. And again, from a lot of competing vendors, 9% is very reasonable. There's also a chart that compares the base rates and the annual cost to surrounding districts. This was fairly eye-opening. You'll see on the top there, it's our current rates that we're paying for the base rate again for each one of those size buses, and comparing it to 3 surrounding districts, 2 of which were the bottom 2, Northwest and Keller. Those are actually bid proposals. Those were the numbers that were provided by GST for the bids for those other districts. So you can see in comparison what we're currently paying to what the current market is dictating. I believe that we are getting a good value for our dollar. So again, this is just a report item, kind of give you an update as far as what the operations department's been working on and what we're going to continue to work on. If you have any questions or if you have any direction that you'd like to provide, we certainly would be open to that.
I think given the drivers, increases and trying to increase the bus fleet to the newer buses, because like I said, we haven't done that in a while, but I just know talking with the maintenance people over in Keller, I was over there the other day, and they've gone out for bid again, and I know their drivers over there, they said they're going to end up having to start them at over $19 an hour. So I think us moving to $18.50, at least will hopefully keep us competitive enough where we don't lose drivers to surrounding districts. So I think your plan to me sounds pretty good.
Thanks, sir.
Is propane less than natural gas fuel from a fuel economy standpoint? What was the driving factor?
It changes, as you know. I mean, kind of, it's a fluid commodity, so it changes. But for the most part, usually propane is a little bit cheaper than natural gas.
Really?
But it can vary. So it's really just the change is not so much from a cost standpoint. It's more just from the maintenance on and I'm not a mechanic, so this is information that I've gotten from talking either to the mechanics or to Gold Star. But to go with a propane powered versus the diesel, as far as just the overall maintenance, and then as well as the overall clean factor, trying to just remain a little bit better stewards as far as for the footprint that, carbon footprint that we're leaving. That's I would say as much or more the reason to make the change as opposed to just strictly a cost factor.
I get that part. I'm just saying between propane and natural gas, I was kind of thinking that natural gas would be quite a bit cheaper, because at least in recent years, I would think, but I don't know the conversion rate. I was trying to look it up. Anyway, that's okay. Y'all probably did all that. So.
Well, there was a big push several years ago. There was the government. There was a lot of help in that area as far as getting your plant set up, your tanks, and so forth. But recently, Mr. Elkins, I haven't heard much about it.
Yeah, and I guess it's probably more available if you have to take those buses, to other, on trips or whatever, then you're gonna have to figure out some way to refill them.
You have to do that, and also, you can put the larger tanks on it, we've learned that, but still, I think when you go on those longer trips, the diesel is just really still the way to go for us right
Right.
now.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll come back as an action next month, Dr. Chadwell?
Yes.
Or next month, okay.
So,
All right,
Mr. Welch, next month.
next month?
Yes.
Okay. Next is the child nutrition report, Mr. Aaron Wiley. Hi, Aaron. Good evening.
Well, we've had another exciting year in child nutrition. We did some new fruits and veggies this year that we put on children's trays, including fresh pineapple, blueberries, strawberries, grapes, clementine, oranges, and occasional blackberries whenever they make sense financially. We upgraded our Red Delicious and Gala apples to Granny Smith and Pink Lady. We implemented the breakfast in the bag program at all elementary schools to where at 10 minutes before the bus or the bell rings, we'll end up start giving the kids their breakfast in a bag so they can take it back to the classroom, and that way they're not missing out on any class time while they're eating their breakfast. This year we continued our Harvest of the Month program, which is where we expose all the children to some new things they might not have seen before, whether they're eating in the cafeteria or brown bagging it, they're still able to go try out what we're serving. We had kiwi strawberries, Texas grown oven roasted mushrooms, kumquats, jicama salad, carrot souffle, cherry tomato and corn salad, oven roasted okra, cannellini, and star spangled spuds. We had some new offerings at the bistro this year, including some street tacos, lettuce wraps, and fresh soups. We're going to be doing some upgrades over the summer in some of our facilities at Bryson, Eagle Mountain, and Elkins. We're going to knock out some walls, new serving area, new serving line, really bring that up to par. And then we're also going to be doing new serving lines at Creekview Middle School and Highland Middle School. 1920, we're going to be doing some menu changes. Tyson is moving to a clean label, no antibiotic chicken. And so that's just sort of the next step up from us. We went to the whole muscle last year, and that's just the next step with it. Regulation changes are allowing us to move from 100% whole grains to only 50%. Now, we don't want to step back a lot and sort of go backwards, but certain items make sense, like macaroni and cheese just doesn't look right with the whole grain pasta. So we're going to change that. We're going to change spaghetti back, and we're going to go back to the flour tortillas. So just a couple of the items that make sense for the students with their palates. We're going to do more customization in our lines, including you can get a hard or soft shell whenever you get your tacos, spicy or regular drumsticks, and spicy or regular chicken nuggets. And you'll also get the option of rice or noodles with the Asian entrees. For pricing for 1920, although there hasn't been an official release, we've been notified by Region 11 personnel that the Texas Department of Agriculture will stand by last year's rule, which stated any district with a positive or zero balance in its nonprofit school food service fund account as of January 31st, 2018, it'll be 2019, is exempt from paid lunch equity requirements, which basically means as long as we're not running in the red, we don't have to raise our prices. We don't need to, so we're going to be just fine. Any questions?
We appreciate the work you're doing there.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you, thank you. That's the end of the operations report. We move now to the finance report. And someone we always appreciate, Mr. Shealy.
When he brings his good news.
I have been asked to do an efficient and effective report tonight and to do it quickly. Included in your board packet are a couple pages with some bullet points, and I went with bullet points instead of a PowerPoint presentation because things are in flux. As a matter of fact, about a third to a half of these are probably no longer relevant. So I'm going to move pretty quick. The demographics that are in the second series, or the second paragraph, right now we're seeing really active construction, and there's a high level of confidence that we are going to hit our demographic projections. I anticipate, based on the fact that I have nothing or no understanding to the opposite, that we will continue to see quicker growth in special ed than we do in the overall population, and which means we are putting those numbers into our projection model as well. We don't know anything beyond that. I have no information that would require me to use any numbers other than what the demographer has given us. There is one wrinkle, and it's the next paragraph, and that is the charter impact. There are, and I've asked several people, no new charters planned for our area, not just this year, but most of the charter operations believe northern Tarrant County is a bit saturated. However, ILT did increase our ratios, and that ratio increase has increased the capacity of the ILT Saginaw by approximately 250 students. I don't know if they have a waiting list. I don't know. There is no way for us to find out. So at this point, I am not anticipating that there will be a significant movement of children from EMS ISD to ILT because we haven't seen a significant shift over the last 9 months of this school year, but it is something we will watch. Operation of Marine Creek Middle School. This is going to be our first full year of operation. We have gone over the costs of opening that school time and time again. We've looked at the basic book. I think we're in pretty good shape. There's going to be a couple supplies we missed. There's going to be a couple pieces of equipment that we didn't get, but I do not believe it is going to be significant. We did make an adjustment in the current year budget to allow Danny to get his staff together for some additional training. That wasn't in the original budget. We're managing that right now internally. It will probably be a budget amendment when we come back in a month or so. Startup costs for Copper Creek Elementary, we did not put these, or these are going to be in next year's budget. We're going to hire a principal, as we always do, sometime right after the first of the year. Also the principal's secretary. I anticipate that there will be a couple other positions that will come in early, counselor, librarian, and most of the staff will be on board early August. So we will account for those changes and have them included in the upcoming budget. One of the issues, or one of the factors we're looking at is market salaries. We are constantly gauging ourselves against the market for hiring of quality people, in particular teachers. We're going to have a significant increase in the number of hires this year. So we're watching that real close, and it's being made a bit more difficult by the fact that we anticipate we're going to get some kind of mandate from the legislature. Whether that will apply to teachers, teachers and librarians, teachers, librarians, and non-administrators, I don't know how they're going to bring it across. The House and the Senate are quite far apart, but I do anticipate that there will be some type of directive coming down. I will tell you $5,000 for teachers, if it is expanded to people who are on the teaching scale, such as librarians and nurses, is probably going to eat up 80% plus of the total increase in revenue we get. Those numbers could be in excess of $7 million, and our total estimated revenue increase, the most optimistic number I've seen is about 9. So we're not going to have a whole lot of money to do a whole lot more if that $5,000 raise comes from the Senate. If it's a smaller raise or if it's a percentage raise, then we will have a little bit more flexibility. I say all that because we had built in a 2% raise, which is about $2.6 million. I don't know how that's going to come into play. At this point in time, there are a lot of needs for the school district, and we're using, maybe anticipating that there is going to be a positive as the House addresses the salary issue that will be enough to allow us to utilize that 2% raise to meet raises for all employees. So we're looking at it at this point in time realistically. I don't want to say optimistically, but realistically, I believe we will have enough money to handle whatever raise we're directed to handle to adjust the operations of the district for those needs that we are going to be talking about later on, and also to provide a raise for other employees. So I think it's all falling into place, but the legislature is still in session, and we are making sure that we've got a plan B just in case. Legislative action, HB 3 is going to be considered by the Senate Education Committee tomorrow, along with several other bills. There are some deficiencies in this bill. We do lose the cost of education index, which costs us about 12 to 14 million, but the increase in the basic allotment gives us more than that. We are looking at the gifted and talented has been rolled into the basic allotment, which takes about $750,000 away. And I want to be really clear, because this has created a lot of consternation. The gifted and talented allotment may be rolling in, but that is not going to impact the expenditures we put in there for gifted and talented kids, which currently far exceed the allotment we receive. It's just, there's not going to be an identifiable piece. It will not change our operation at all. There is the compression and the limitations on how we handle income tax increases going forward, very significantly between the House and the Senate. However, in both instances, the ability to access additional pennies would be limited. We did a tax swap. We're really not subject to this, but we're not planning on raising taxes anyway. Taxable assessed value, or charter bills, they're all over the place. I do not think we're going to see anything come out on charters. I think it's just going to go on. They've got too many other issues they're fighting. Taxable assessed values have ranged all over the place. We've seen some as high as 40% and as low as 3%. We're just waiting. We had anticipated the early April numbers by the 15th. We have not gotten them. They're not required to give us anything until May 15th. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them here. If you have any other questions or later on, please don't hesitate to call me.
All right, thank you, Mr. Shealy. Brings us to the technology report. Mr. Kirk Murdoch is going to appear from the back room. You did get in the 5 o'clock session.
I did. I was trying to edit on the fly. Good evening. This report's on page 36 in your board book. I'm going to, like Mr. Shealy said, do a brief overview of the ground we've covered since we started at Dozier 3 years ago. The base of the plan was built on catching up, staffing, infrastructure, all those kind of things that we needed to put in place so that when we started adding equipment, it would be successful. And I'm going to show you what we've accomplished a lot of that goal. So far this year, we continue that cycle of training, infrastructure adjustments, all those kind of things, but we added the first third of student devices. And I'll show you more of that in a minute. This summer, we'll be adding the second third, plus a lot more training and more adjustments moving along. And these are the original slide that y'all probably recognize from that effort. And then next year, we'll complete that first 3-year cycle of devices and be working on starting over again. The support base for the plan was the staffing piece, and that created the long-range plan for staffing as we continue to grow, so we keep up. We've added instructional technology trainers. We added a network specialist to our engineering team, and then we're looking for a repair tech as we grow into these next campuses. Student devices, like I said, we added the first third of this last year. That was 69 carts. We hit every campus from Hafley up to HCTC and everything in between. Classroom displays, which was kind of, we thought we were going to do a 3-year rollout, and we did nearly 1,400 of them last summer. It was really a game changer for us, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. We upgraded our internet last summer from 2 gig to 10 gig, and that was partly in part to, we did all the infrastructure upgrades, so everything was running faster and smoother, and then we added 1,400 devices to it. So we're already seeing that happen. And then we continue to make updates and changes to our Wi-Fi so that it goes faster, more devices, all those kind of things. This is really where it hits hard for us is we're seeing it on a daily basis. I know you guys, when you're on campus, you walk in a classroom and you say things that you probably haven't seen before. And that's really a testament to our instructional tech team and then our network guys that were able to put everything in place. We've got Cindy, Salee, Jenny, and Jennifer here kind of representing the team today. And they've done, they have the tech Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They're all over social media, sharing tips and tricks and those kind of things. So it's constant for us. And these are pictures just from the last few weeks, really. This will be a lot longer presentation. We talked about all the successes that we've seen. The big takeaways from this year, I've had several comments directly from teachers that the Promethean displays changed instruction in my classroom. And I know this group has heard very similar things. Best thing we did was not spread it out over several years. We got them all in all the classrooms. We got them training. We continue to give them things to do. And like I said, that was a game changer for our teachers. We have, like I said, they have tech Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and social media on the weekends and those kind of things that are heavily attended. It started off with come during your conference period, and it's kind of like if we built it, they'll come, and they continue to come, and they're very receptive to all the tips and tricks and advice and training and strategies and those kind of things that they get on a weekly and even daily basis in some counts. The student devices are being used, and like I said when we started this, that we're gonna watch them. We're gonna use some of our tools to tell whether or not it was money well spent, and we're seeing utilization at Halfley Development Center in with the little ones all the way up to what's going on at the high schools with projects this time of year. It's really amazing that I think that the strategy of us doing a lot of the prep and training beforehand is the reason why a lot of this is working as well as it is. And then finally, first time since I've been here, infrastructure's ahead of need. I'm not having to say we can't do this yet, or we can't be that big yet. We're already looking ahead at the next level of Aspire of, okay, what can we do now that we have all these things in place, and our teachers and our students have got a really good foundation, so we can really do some cool things as we move forward. This summer, we're going to continue with the devices. We're going to have probably 2,100 more student devices. We'll have a little bit of catch up for Marine Creek so that they open like everybody else has. We're going to continue working on wireless. It's got to work. It's got to be there. It's got to be able to take on kids with 4 or 5 devices on their person. I don't understand it, but we've seen it. We're doing training, and more training. These guys are scheduled all the time now, and it's working really well. Working with the bond, safety, security, cameras, access controls, those kind of things, and then updates and improvements to the application. What we're going to try to do with a lot of the things we already have in place is go from good to better. We've been using Office 365. We implemented single sign-on this year, which really took off, but we're going to upgrade that so it works better. We're going to make it easier to get on and off of our Wi-Fi because we can now. There was a time where we didn't really want a lot of people on it, but now we're able to do that better. student device management. We have a lot of devices out there, and we gotta do a better, more efficient job of controlling them than we have been, just because we don't want to take so much work doing it. And then a big ticket item for Mr. Shealy and I is a new firewall. We have a lot of stuff going on, and we got to be able to protect all of our data in doing that. The last piece is the project that I've been working with really since the foundation with Region 11. It's a national one-of-a-kind project where all of the districts in Region 11 got together and said, we all need internet connectivity, we all need wide area networks. And it's really turned into a situation like with our internet connection, where we have a 10 gig internet connection for less than our 2 was the year before. So what we're working with now is our WAN contract is expiring September of 2020. So we're already starting that process right now, working with Region 11, as are several of our neighboring districts doing the same thing, to go with a new network that they're going to provide as part of that plan. We actually get a lot more for less money because of the way all of the districts came together and used our E-rate accounts and those kind of things to get all this done. So this is the logical plan of what we're looking at doing, which means that if we have, like we did a couple of weeks ago, we have a power outage that affects one of our campuses, everything that's going through that can reroute around it. If they're cutting a new road, if they're cutting up Boat Club Road like happened a few months ago, and they take out the fiber, then everything can reroute back around the district to get to Eagle Mountain Elementary. So it really helps us try to maintain better service. We're getting better quality, more resiliency, those kind of things. So that's something that we're starting on now that will really start taking shape as we get into the fall and spring next year. So that was a short and sweet version. Questions?
I just would like to say, of course, I have a spouse that works in the district. I still have a lot of friends from my time working in the district, and I just want to say that you and your staff, I think, do an amazing job, but so do all of the people that I'm in communication with within the district. So I think y'all do a great job.
Thanks.
We appreciate that you've gotten us up to speed, so to speak, because I know that was a concern, and you've done a great job of getting us up there and now keeping us up there, so thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Our next report is Human Resources Report. Dr. Dawkins.
President Newcomb, Dr. Chadwell, members of the board, good evening. Want to bring forward with you tonight, this would be our first district-wide staffing proposal. So we brought forth teaching positions last month. So this would be either specific to a campus, or some of them are district-wide. Many of them focus on our student growth, especially in the areas of special education students. We have spent weeks and weeks looking at the needs, assessing the needs, and evaluating, really, and even with Mr. Shealy, the actual cost to the district, and weigh that against the necessity of the positions. And so they also align, as Kurt just said, with 2022. We've looked at our technology plan to make sure that we're staying in line with staffing on that as well. And so we would bring these to you as a proposal. We would ask for information to post just due to the timeliness of the positions, and then some of the positions could lead to a domino, so then we would not want to impact us recruiting highly qualified applicants maybe for other positions that may become available as a result of these. We would not plan to hire until any or all of these were approved at our next meeting. So I want to open it up to any questions and comments.
Just before there's any questions, also just to know that this is the first of a minimum of 2 reports. Another report
Right.
would come in June. I asked the staff to pull these into 2 parts. mainly because of the legislative, right now, of not knowing exactly what's gonna happen with, Senate Bill 2 and House Bill 3. I'd like a little bit more information, and so we've held on those, and the ones that are more time-sensitive are in this list, and some of the time sensitivity is if the recruitment is going to be of a setting teacher or somebody at the campus level moving into a district level position. So having that happen, and for example, the positions that may come to you in June, then they wouldn't be approved till July, and then we're
Right.
looking at midsummer dominoes. So that's why some of these, although in terms of priority, it's not as a clean, these are more important than the June ones.
Right.
A lot of it has to do with how the domino would be. However, what's different is we will have a lot more information by the May 15th appraisal values when they're issued. If we have to hold on any of these, we will. And so
Right.
this is different. Usually it's a hard list and we stay with that list, we work the list. In this case, we have a lot of information coming to us from the legislature that we have to consider as we go forward. So this is truly a communication exercise for y'all to know what we're considering, what we're looking at, but also acknowledging the fact that there's financial limitations of not achieving it.
One question, the director of MTSS in special programs, what is that?
Yes, okay, that is an acronym, and I thought about that tonight when that was posted, and I thought, you all aren't gonna know what that is. Multi-tiered support system for our students, so it's looking at academic, behavior, social, emotional support, so the RTI, response to intervention, just with the level of needs, really trying to put that under one program that would be under Dr. Hughes's leadership in special programs. And so the continuity of that for our kiddos versus academics is taken care of over here in behavior by another department or something. So,
And I just want to comment on this one specifically because some of these have org charts that fall under them.
Right.
And so special services is a good example of that. She basically has a current organizational chart and then a vision organizational chart of expanding. There's really two parts of the special education positions. One is the structure, and this is an example of that position, and others are direct student services.
Right.
So dyslexia therapists, an SLP, or speech language pathologist, and so forth. And so they're really in two categories. However, she does have a reorganization with the special education to broaden and provide support. Some of those positions are in the June list, and so we wanted to hold on those, and those most likely would not be recruiting directly out of teaching positions, so we felt like we could hold on those until the June report. We'd like to bring them all now,
This
but,
is a new position.
It would be a new
yeah,
position.
brand new, okay.
and this is in response to the significant amount of behavioral needs that we've had in order to serve children at very young ages, and also, of course, older kids as well, but mostly younger.
But all these are new positions, Liz, I think, the whole list.
Yes.
But is this?
It's not a position that we have already by
That's what I
title.
meant.
That's what you mean, a new, right, newly created position,
Newly
newly created
created,
job
yes.
description for that as well.
So I also had a question on the gifted and talented humanities teachers
Yes.
at the middle schools.
Mhm.
Because that's just displacing current kids, right? And why does it require new job authorities? Do we not have that skill set to teach those courses?
Well, no, and this is something I think we may have talked about before, and we said we may be able to absorb these. What
Right.
we're seeing is that we have some growth in the middle schools that we're gonna, they're not
So
just
those
gonna be.
growth positions are going to be targeted to these,
Yes.
the skill set.
Correct, because we are currently teaching those classes now, points taken, but we see some expansion and growth there, just in student population.
Well, some of them obviously are needed to get started on just to staff the new middle school.
Right.
The only question I have is you're asking us if you can post these, so then you're saying that we may not fill them, so help me know how we can post them and get applicants and recruit people and then say, whoops, wait a minute, we're not gonna fill that job. Am I misunderstanding?
Well,
that?
no, you're right on. The risk of not posting is meaning we can't really talk to applicants, we can't advertise. But we can put in the advertisement that the positions won't be filled until a minimum of a certain date. And so that people know, we won't kind of play people along at all, they'll know that there's a likelihood. And anytime we've asked y'all to go ahead and post, we never move forward as if you're going to approve the next meeting, because you may not. And so, there's always that risk, it just depends. I'm being very conservative on this. I'm very hopeful that all of these positions, plus the June positions, that we'll be able to fund them. I know Mr. Shealy and the entire team, you're talking about hours, many, many hours have gone into it to make sure not only is it a hope list, but actually a reasonable way that we can afford it and maintain it and deal with it in the future. But also, we want to just be very careful that in this, I mean, he said every day we will start the morning with one set of variables and end it with another set of variables. And we've been thrown some very significant curveballs from the Texas legislature, especially when they tie you to how you're going to spend your money. Because we know that as much as we want people to have a competitive salary, we have 2,400 employees. A percentage of those are teachers and a percentage of those are not. So that includes our other campus staff, teachers' aides, things like that are not covered. It's going to put some stress for us to make sure that we keep them competitive. You know, if we're so fortunate to be able to get that funding, but it's tied and locked in only on certain categories of staff, then it throws us off in all the other categories that we've been able to keep up with. So.
I'd like to make one other comment. Some of the positions, let's just use one, just grab one, dyslexia therapist. So we may have an open position already, one posted, but what we would do is keep in mind as we're interviewing for those that we may have 4, we're looking for 4 people, not 1. So that we kind of have a few candidates, if you will, in our back pocket that we could really grab with interviews for that and grab those early on.
And those
Especially
tied
some
to
of these are
federal
hard to
comp
fill.
funds, we know those will go forward. Those are not,
Right.
like the practicum teacher, bilingual literacy interventionist, those that are already tied up and have funds. Some of them are self-funded, such as the child nutrition, and some of them are
right.
must. You can't open a school without custodians.
Right.
Right.
So,
So, I mean, some
there's a
of them,
mix.
we're gonna post them, we're gonna fill, because
Yes, sir.
we've gotta have people there to fulfill those deals. So.
That's true. I just wanted to let y'all know about the other, because this is a big price tag, and we recognize that, but we also want to let y'all know we're going to be very careful to make sure we can, at the end of the day, we'll have funding to cover it and not get caught short.
Okay. Without objection,
Thank you.
post away. Next is policy update on AE Local and FFG Exhibit. Ms. Andrea White. This was an interesting update.
It wasn't.
President Newcomb, members of the board, Dr. Chadwell. The 2 items that I'm bringing, AE Local is educational philosophy. And as you can tell, this one hasn't been updated in a while. So Dr. Parker and Ms. Nevins really worked on this one to bring it to our Aspire strategic plan 2022. So that's what AE Local will be. And then the other one is FFG, and it's an exhibit. And we're just taking a specific name out, and we're putting a title in place for notice of employee responsibilities for reporting child abuse and welfare.
Because we've done this several times with policies, have we just done a sweep to search for names in our policy and replace them with titles across the board? Because I'm surprised we still have any.
I can't confirm that. I think we need to do that. And we also, are we still considering using the TASB policy review?
We are, and we're on the docket, but it won't be till April of next year. So I'm trying to go through them as I can so that when she gets here
We'll do
next
some
year, a
name
lot of it
searches.
will be updated.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Okay.
It is currently 5:53 p.m. This board will now recess for dinner and then reconvene in a closed meeting pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act, of which, by the way, this is Mr. Elkins' last meeting, if you didn't know, so if you haven't come by to say hi, please do so. 551.071, purpose of consultation with the board's attorney. 551.072, deliberating the purchase of real property. 551.074, purpose of deliberating the appointment, employment, reassessment duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer, including contract renewals for district employees. 551.075, purpose of deliberations regarding deployment or specific occasions for security. And 551.082, considering discipline of a public school child or complaint or charge against personnel. This is public meeting of the Board of Education of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District. The board is reconvening the public meeting on April the 23rd, 2nd, 2018 at 7:05 PM. I'll now consider the subject set forth in the posted agenda. Welcome, everybody, to the public portion of our meeting. It is Mr. Elkins' last meeting, so that's why some friends and family are here, and we'll get to more on that later. But congratulations, Mr. Elkins. To open our ceremony, we have North Brick Elementary School. Ms. Gina Mayfield.
Thank you so much for having us this evening. I'm very excited because I have several of our wonderful Northbrook Blazers here with me tonight. And these are boys and girls who placed in the recent UIL competition. And so we're going to introduce them. Boys and girls, as I call your name, if you would come right up here and face the board. And then parents, would you please stand as we call your child's name and introduce you as well. We appreciate so much you being here as well. So first we have Briseis Cavarubio. Briseis is in 4th grade. She's the daughter of Angelica Cavarubio, and she placed 3rd in the district for UIL Ready Writing. We're very proud of her for that. Next, we have Maxwell Losi. Briseis, stay right here, darling. You're going to help me in just a minute. There you go. We have Maxwell Losi. Maxwell is in the 3rd grade. He's the the son, obviously, the very handsome son in a bow tie of Mark and Melissa Losi. And Maxwell placed 3rd in the district for UIL storytelling for his grade level. And we're very proud of him for that. Next, we have Hung Lam. Hung is in the 5th grade. He is the son of Hung Lam and Tui Train. And Hung placed 2nd in the district for UIL spelling. I don't believe Olivia is here, so she might come in right at the last minute. We'll see. Next we have Nabil Najim, and Nabil is the son of Muhammad Najim and Lubna Qureshi. And Nabil placed 1st in the district for his grade level for UIL spelling. Next we have Marvelous Agbertogo, and she really is marvelous, and she is actually coming all the way up to the front on her crutches. She broke her leg, but she still wanted to be here. Marvelous placed 2nd in the district for UIL spelling, and she was also Northbrook Spelling Bee winner this year. So we're proud of her. She is the daughter of Benson. She's the daughter of Benson and Zilpha Agbertogo, and so we appreciate them bringing her tonight. Here we have James Espinosa. James is in the 4th grade. He is the son of Sandra Tobins and Jim Espinosa. And James placed 1st in the district for his grade level for UIL music memory. And then we have Goen Kim. Goen is in the 4th grade, the daughter of Singwon Kim and Mi-Young Song. And Goen placed 2nd in the district for UIL number sense. So I want to make sure Olivia and Catherine, neither one came. I don't believe they were able to be here. So boys and girls, are we ready for them to lead the pledge?
You bet.
All right.
Please.
So boys and girls, we're going to let you lead the pledge, and we'll let you start it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas pledge? Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, students, and congratulations. We love to open our meetings that way. Thank you for bringing them, parents. At this time, we have some special recognitions, and I'll call on Dr. Jim Chapel.
Well, this is a special evening. Mr. Elkins this is his last meeting, And I'm just really privileged to have worked with him for the last 8 years, and many of you have known him for a very long time, some of you your entire lives. And so you got the family here. They were wondering, what you do every third Monday of the month, and so here we are. And so I just have a few things to share with you. We know that first elected in 1998, you were a second generation of the Elkins family to serve on the board. You've been serving through unprecedented growth for the past 21 years. We've had 18 new schools with your leadership. We've grown to over 20,100 students in 26 campuses. You go beyond the call of duty in your role. You've ensured physical responsibility, strategic long-range planning, strong administrative leadership, innovative programming, and professional support for educators. And you've also served as board president, and I know when I came on the board, you were board president, and really enjoyed working with you in that role. And you were also board president when we became a top 5 honor board. We also know in this area, somebody could sing the Elkins jingle, but of course we got the Elkins hardware store. It's become, that's my favorite part of any football game, is hearing the Elkins jingle. But also, as I've talked to Mr. Elkins over the year, I've always been impressed. He's an entrepreneur. He's a person that's very creative. He's out of the box and taking on companies like Tri-Steel and turning that company into what it is now. He's always looking at things in a different way. And each member of this board up here looks at things in a different way to do the best thing for kids and try to think big. And you've been honored. You've been the Chamber's Citizen of the Year for Saginaw, most recently the Chamber's Public Servant of the Year. But you're also a graduate, and I told a story the other day. Saginaw Elementary had some renovations, and one of the things that had to happen is we had to open a safe that had been closed for a long time. And for those of you that are old enough, you remember the Geraldo Rivera show when they were going to break into that Al Capone's vault? Well, it was about that exciting when we opened it up, except for one thing. Mr. Elkins' report card. So I'm not going to announce that because I'm going to protect your educational records. But I found out that his family gave him a hard time a little bit, so that was fun. But anyway, it was really cool to see that and see that your heritage and history in the district and your family. And so really enjoyed working with you, and just thank you for all your service very much.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Chadwell. That's very, very nice. I will say it's been an incredible experience. It's been a team experience. I don't want to take credit for a lot of this stuff. We just have had a great team. Seems like over the years they've changed out, but it seems like no matter what the backgrounds or what we've done together, we've everybody is there for the right reason, for the kids and for the taxpayers. That's obviously close to a lot of people's heart too. So, but anyway, it's been a tremendous run. I'd like to introduce my family. I guess this might not be the right time. I have a whole herd of them there. My wife Heidi, daughter, better start from oldest to youngest. Avonlea, oldest. TJ, Colt, and Savannah. And obviously, in the past, we've run some pretty long meetings and some pretty, special meetings and different things, taking a lot of time. I'd like to thank Heidi for all the effort she's had to put in. So, anyway, thanks.
Two recognitions, and we'll start off. We have an award to give you, and I'll say what it is, and then we'll go over and take a picture. We've started a tradition with an award for board members as they go off the board. It's called I Carry the Torch, and so we have a recognition for you for carrying the torch, and thank you for recognizing your family. We know this is a family affair when you serve. There's a lot of time and a lot of work that goes into it. And apparently a lot of Red Bull. I found Red Bull in the refrigerator when I came here for those lately, so that's good.
Yeah.
make sure to get that in a picture here in just a minute. We have, Mr. Elkins, we have many people here tonight to thank you for your service and to honor you and your years of service. One of those who could not be with us tonight is our State Representative, Charlie Guerin, but he did send a resolution, and I'd like to read that for you now.
Thank you.
It's a bunch of whereases, so work with me here, okay? Whereas Dick Elkins is concluding his service to the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District Board of Education in 2019, drawing to a close an exemplary tenure that has spanned more than 20 years. And whereas Mr. Elkins first joined the school board in 1998, and in the years since, he has played an instrumental role in the opening of 18 schools in the district, as well as renovations and updates to existing campuses. He served as president of the board for the 2015-2016 school year, during which time the organization was designated as a state honor board. And he has further benefited the district as a founding and ex officio board member of the EMS ISD Education Foundation. And whereas, in addition to his duties with the school district, Mr. Elkins has contributed to his community by volunteering on the boards of the local Chamber of Commerce, Rotary Club, YMCA, and Boswell High School Senior Celebration. Moreover, he is a past president of the Saginaw Area Chamber of Commerce and was recently named the group's Public Servant of the Year. And whereas an alumnus of EMS ISD, Mr. Elkins was one of the first Texas Tech University graduates to earn a bachelor's degree in computer science. I think it was MIS at that time, right? And he is a longtime businessman and rancher. In all his endeavors, he enjoys the love and support of his wife, Heidi, and their 4 children. And whereas, through his adept and forward-looking leadership, Dick Elkins has helped guide Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD through a transformative period in its history, and his many valuable contributions will continue to resonate in the years to come. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Dick Elkins be commended for his service on the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District Board of Education, and that he be extended sincere best wishes for the future.
Thank you very much.
Well, Mr. Elkins, it's our turn now, so we're going to start down with Liz and come this way.
Okay, Mr. Elkins, I'm going to deem you as epic. And I want to thank you for your leadership and your guidance when I got on the board. Normally, before I was out in the audience, and I always admired you from afar, but you are true to your word and you're good for students, and we thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Appreciate you.
I'll just say it's been a pleasure working with you, and we are going to greatly miss you. When I think about Dick Elkins, I think about fiscal responsibility. You always hold our feet to the fire on everything from roofs to grease traps. And also cause us to think outside the box. Someday maybe we'll have that 24-hour school for you.
I think it's, okay, yeah, maybe at least 12.
And then as a mentor to all of us that have come after you, I know you took the time with me personally to help me think about how to be a good board member, and I appreciate that. And then for keeping things lighthearted and fun. We'll miss your sense of humor.
Absolutely.
I don't know about that sense of humor, but well, Mr. Elkins, I think you're like the 3rd longest serving board member in the history of the district. So right behind Ed Wilkie and Mary Tom Williams, and then you're dead, and you're right up there 20 plus years. So congratulations on making it through that.
Thank you.
I'm one of the ones that made it, fought a lot of battles with you, made it through all the way. So
Absolutely.
always appreciated you. We knew where you stood on the issues, and there wasn't any much gray. It was either black or white, and that's just the way it is. And I appreciate all that through the years. The times that we went to war together, we always knew which side each of us were on when we went to the battle. So, but we always kept the kids first, and I know you've always done that for the 21 years. So that's the most important thing. But congratulations on your service, and I definitely will miss you.
Well, I'm going to miss all y'all so much.
Anybody, so.
You too.
Don?
Thank you, Steve.
Dick, well, I came on board in a very hard time during the district, and we spent a lot of time, many hours to 1 or 2 p.m. And we did, Heidi, we were here. Thank you for all your guidance as a new board member and everything, and I'm going to miss your black to my white.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good running battle, but it's always been good fun, and I appreciate you so much, Donna.
Well, I'm
it's been kind of short-lived. I've been on both sides, most of it out there, as an employee, but I just appreciate you accepting me on my short time on board, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely, Tim. Thank you very much. You're doing a good job.
All right. The board will now recess to allow individuals to express appreciation to Dick Elkins for his 21 years of service as a board trustee. It is currently 7:21 p.m. and we'll reconvene at 7:30.
Thanks.
This is a public meeting of the Board of Education of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District. The board is reconvening the public meeting on February 22nd, 2019 at 7:31 p.m. And we'll now continue with our agenda. The first order of action is to consider and approve an action to suspend the rules to allow Mr. Elkins to preside over the remainder of the meeting.
Second.
Motion by Paige, second by Liz. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, like sign. 5-1. Mr. Elkins, it's an honor to let you assume this position in your last meeting, so it's all yours. You might need that. Don't need that.
I don't need that.
No, you don't.
All right, maybe I shouldn't have agreed to this.
Back in the saddle, Dick.
Okay, all right, I guess the next item on the agenda is gonna be our oral presentations. I think we have 2 speakers tonight. First, we have Mr. Gary Rademacher and Mr. Chris Huckabee. Recognition for Dick Elkins. You guys-
This just keeps going.
Is he
I'm
here?
sorry.
Is he here?
Oh, well, wait, pardon me, back up, see, I'm agreeing to this.
He's got to read.
Yeah, I gotta read, because I gotta read this first, sorry. All right, thank you for coming tonight to share your opinion. Before we start, a few rules of order regarding the public comment portion of the meeting. According to board policy, each speaker has 5 minutes to speak. The total public comment portion cannot be more than 30 minutes total for all speakers. We will have our board secretary, Donna, keeping time tonight, and she will hold the time cards up, showing the time you have remaining, so you guys can't get too windy. If the item is not on the board agenda, the board may not ask questions or answer questions or make any comment regarding what is said. Also, please note to comply with FERPA laws on student privacy, you may not mention a student by name. Additionally, according to board policy, you may not make derogatory comments about any staff member, either by name or title. Should you need to file a complaint, you may do that through our formal grievance process outlined in the board policy. So, thank you. Now we'll say it.
All that said, we really have nothing to add.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll be brief. Good evening, Mr. Elkins, Dr. Chadwell, members of the board. It's really good to be here with you. I don't normally get nervous, but I'm kind of nervous tonight. But
Don't worry.
on behalf of the Huckabee team, we want to thank you. You know, we were hired almost 10 years ago by this district, and you were sitting in that chair right there.
Yes, sir.
We can't do what we do as well as we do without good leadership from the board and the leadership from the board and superintendent. So we look to you often, and we just thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and from as a corporate body doing work for you, we're proud to be your partner. We have a gift for you, but you're not allowed to open it until you hear from Chris. So I'm going to turn it over to Chris, and then I'll bring this up to you.
So the good news is the gift is clean. You can open it. It's a box. It requires a crowbar, and we brought you a crowbar. It is not a lampshade with a leg. Okay, we will give you that assurances. So Gary did a great job, but it's just my honor to get to come before you tonight and say thank you. You know, when those children stood up here a minute ago, my thought was, that's what it's about for every one of us. That's a fact. That's what it's about. At the end of the day, we are all here to do something, and that is to enable every child in the state of Texas to get a great education. You've dedicated 21 years of your life as a public servant, and all of you know the pay is not great. The hours are long and it's tough, and as a fellow board member, I can relate that it can be very challenging at times. But very seldom do we get to work with people like you, and that is somebody whose heart is 100% set on doing the very best for every child in their community. This community is blessed to have you as a leader. This community is blessed to have you as someone who would dedicate the amount of time that you have dedicated of your life to help lead the children, this amazing leadership, and to help this community. This community is much better because of you. So with all that, we wanted to say tonight, thank you for your dedication. Everyone does get the opportunity to take a little time off, and congratulations for that. I hope you have a great time. Maybe idled a little bit, but a great time. I'll bet it doesn't take long before you dial into whatever the next thing is. But thank you very much for your dedication, your passion for the students in this community. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's not ticking, is it? Okay. So do I need to wait for later? I better do it while we're here. And this could be embarrassing. There's no telling.
Nah.
Probably no. I don't know if I can get into it or not. This is kind of like the Geraldo moment.
You promise there's no
Golly, y'all seal that well. What we got here? Box in a box, the Hickory Grilling. All right, thank y'all so much. That's nice. It's, can y'all see that? Everybody probably not, but anyway, the Hickory Grilling man crate. How about that?
Man crate.
I don't know if I should keep digging. I don't know, but anyway, thank y'all so much. Lots of stuff in there. What is that? I don't know. Lots of spices. I can smell it right here. Thank you very much. That's so nice of y'all. I would like to say also, yeah, thanks for the crowbar. You get that at Elkins Hardware, I hope? No. I'm kidding. But no, you guys are, 10 years ago when we made that decision, it was a good decision. It's still a good decision that y'all are one of our partners here in the school district, and with all the things we've had to, the growth and all of that such, y'all have done just a phenomenal job. I hear nothing but good things from the staff. We've always heard that, or y'all would have heard from us, see? So, great job. And Chris Huckabee, he mentioned a board member. He's one of the esteemed board members at Texas Tech University. So, thank you for what you do for them, because that's my alma mater. So, and plus, we got chairman of the board. Are you really? Yes, sir. Any problems, I'll call you. I got a guy there in the long hair, that Colt, he's out there, so, you might stick somebody watching after him, so. Thank y'all very much, I appreciate it.
We're glad he took the day off, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you. All right, next. Okay, all right, now we have another speaker. It is, help me out here. Ms. Opara. Ms. Opara. Can you come forward, please? Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Chanyan Opara, and I appreciate the opportunity given to me to address the Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD Board of Education concerning the need for each child to receive quality education in a just, safe, and conducive environment. A classroom should be welcoming to every student and uphold the culture of integrity and respect. Students should be effectively and productively challenged to reach their maximum potential. But a class should not be torturous, should not torture students. Every child deserves to receive quality education, and no student should be threatened or harmed academically in any way, manner, or fashion. It's important to recognize that if a class is making a student cry, many students in that class are wailing. And they're hoping that those called to lead will do the right thing and fix the system. Educational child abuse and monopoly should not be allowed in any campus. Culture of respect and integrity should be actively promoted at campus level and at district level. Educational child abuse should stop. What do I consider as educational child abuse? Not teaching course concepts and using only past papers and papers to teach a course does not promote learning and mastering. Assessing students on what was not taught in class or what was not taught very well in class is not fair to the students. not teaching students concepts and allowing them to teach themselves without a definite focus and guide, and not assessing them on concept taught or taught very well in class, actually abuses the students' intelligence. And to me, it seems academically unhealthy, and no student should be allowed to experience that. A class in a school should not be only solely for preparing a given, for preparation of a given test. Students should receive quality comprehensive education. Monopoly should not be allowed. Allowing only one teacher to teach a particular course in a campus seems to obstruct justice. Students should be given opportunity to make appropriate and constructive choices regarding their education. And parents should be given the opportunity to make appropriate and constructive choices regarding their child's education. Allowing only one teacher to teach a course puts students in a box and overly empowers a teacher, and this in turn reduces efficiency and often leads to reduction in quality of education provided to students. Certainly, having one teacher teach a course in a school seems monopolizing, obstructs democracy, and indeed leaves students and parents with no choice. The culture of respect should be encouraged. Culture of respect upholds integrity and student-centered education. Culture of respect frowns on power strife and defensive behavior. No student should be retaliated against, discriminated, intimidated, bullied, or denied justice. Every student should be genuinely protected. Parents should be respected and not inhumanely treated or insulted, especially when they're expressing genuine concern regarding a class. School administrators should not be aggressive or defensive when presented with genuine concern regarding a class. Instead of power strife, school administrators should uphold professional and constructive solution-based conferences and should at all times sincerely and actively practice and promote student-centered education. I urge the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Board of Education to appropriately and as allowed review the case behind this address and do the right thing to ensure that a student is not harmed academically, ensure that every student learns in a just, safe, and conducive environment, and ensure that each student receives continuous and quality education. Remember, if a class is making a student cry, many students in that class are willing, hoping for the good Samaritans to do the right thing. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Parr.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now finish with the oral presentations. So now we'll move to the action items. Okay, first and only thing on action tonight is consider a contract for the purchase of 7.75 acres located at 8551 Spring Street, Fort Worth, Texas, Fort Worth, Tarrant County, Texas. Mr. Welch.
Yes, we have been working with our district realtor, our civil engineer, our legal counsel, and working with Lake Country Church to acquire some property to help plat or position a school in that site. So we felt like we met a good price on both sides and got us a good agreement.
I move we approve the contract to sell for the purchase of the property for a total purchase price of $503,750 and authorize Dr. Chadwell to sign the contract and any other documents associated with the purchase of the property.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Donna. Any questions? Oh, it is? It is supposed to be 72?
That was in the revised deal.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think I mentioned an address purposely when I read it, but I could sure
Okay,
add that
thank you.
in.
Becky.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. All right, so that being heard, any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries 6-0. All right. Now we move into the reports by the superintendent.
We covered them all, Mr. Elkins.
Do what now?
We covered all those
I
reports.
guess we did, didn't we? Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
All right, any questions? Any questions on the questions on the monthly reports, routine monthlies? No? All right, then we're going into. Okay, now review the 2019 board planning calendar. Dr. Chadwell.
Yes, sir. On page 153 of your packet, at the next meeting, we'll have the staffing proposal 2 is as a report. We have a finance report. Operations report includes a quarterly demographic report, the annual SHAC report, bylaws if needed, wellness policy changes if needed, and also an operations update. We also, under action items, we have election of board officers, act on bids and proposals, and act on computer replacements, teacher laptops, and student device leases. And finally, approve renewal of agreement with Gold Star Transit.
Okay.
I'm sorry, one other note, Mr. Elkins, is under consent agenda, it says approve the 1920 staffing proposal 1. If that was the report that was this evening. If there are changes, as I mentioned, that makes that report substantively change, we'll bring it back as an action item for discussion. So just want to let you know that unless it stays as a whole and we're fine with moving forward, we'll bring it back as action.
All right. Any other questions about the calendar? Seeing none. Okay, next we move to the consent agenda for approval.
Will we approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion by Paige, second by Steve. All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. All right. Got through that far so far, huh? Okay, so my comments, right?
Yes.
You ready for that? All right, so to remind myself, I thought I'd make a couple of kid comments while they're here in front of me. So, you know, you're on the board for a lot of years, and a lot of things kind of happen over the years. And some good, some challenging, some really challenging. So one time I just down memory lane here, Mr. Newcomb will remember some of the, well, probably Doctor will remember too. But I was remembering a few things about each of the kiddos over their tenures and things that happened. And it's not all bad, but
But it's not all good.
well, so just one or two little things that stood out. One, Avonlea, and this happened, I don't know, a few years ago when in the infinite wisdom of the board, we decided that it was a good idea that we, instead of having one cheerleader squad, we should have two. You know, two, one competitive and one kind of just cheer squad. So anyway, we did that in a meeting, actually. It came up before us, and we didn't have a really good solution, so we kind of went back and made a decision. That'd be a good idea, so everybody could participate. You know, it'd be a good thing everybody participate. Well, at that time, Avonlea had never been a cheerleader, had been, you know, in the drill team and stuff like that. But so I came home that night and just said, hey, you know, guess what? We're adding a cheerleading squad. We thought that was a good idea. So her eyes lit up. She said, oh, I'm going to try out for that. And I said, well, okay, I guess. No. Oh, my gosh. From that point on, it's like I set up the cheerleader squad for Avonlea to be a cheerleader, I think so. Which I had no clue. And in hindsight, wish that never had happened. I think it probably helped some girls, but anyway, that was kind of a challenging time to get through. And we won't go into all the details. There was some other stuff, but we won't talk about that. TJ, I remember the thing I remember about TJ was that kind of, is I think you won't correct me here because they can't hear you, but TJ had maybe, you know, these headphones that Beats or something he had came out one time, right when they came out, they're hot items. Well, I don't know, somebody liked them better than him. He left them in a class, and anyway, they disappeared, and so he was thoroughly just upset, and went to a certain principal that y'all have to go back in the time, see who was there at the time. I'm not going to mention any names. And described the situation. I think they figured out who got them, and so this principal was pretty adamant. So he actually walked from Boswell, walked to the individual's house, and actually got the Beats back and came back. So that was one.
The serial number on the box.
Okay. So he played detective, and anyway, but that was kind of a deal. Like TJ, you don't ask him to do that stuff, do you? You shouldn't have left them in the class. I know, you shouldn't have left them in a class, okay. And Cole, his was from way a long time ago, and this is, I get, you know, parents, their kids in elementary, and you get that one call that you just like, you really don't want, especially if you're a board member, you know. And so I get this call from the principal at Eagle Mountain. There again, y'all, I'm not gonna mention any names. And get this call and says, Mr. Elkins, just wonder if you got us just a minute. And I go, yeah, is everything okay? And he goes, yeah, everything's okay, but I had a little situation with Colt. And I go, oh, okay, so what happened? He goes, well, there's a little kid on the playground, one of his little playmates or something, and he said he was gonna be said he wanted to be a plumber, and Colt thought he'd help him, and he just pulled his pants down. I go, just do whatever you have to do to him, it's okay. And so, yeah, great, there you go. And so last but not least, little Savannah, and it's at this time, you know, Savannah's a pretty young lady now and has grown into just a sweetheart, and but back in the day when and you notice what I'm reading out of, okay, everybody here, look, everybody's got, with the exception of maybe Newcomb, everybody's got computers, right? So anyway, when we first got the computers assigned to us, it was a new thing, and I was all for it, thought it was a great idea. And so anyway, you know, and it's basically, it was our board computer, nothing else goes on the computer but board stuff. And I don't know if y'all remember this, but I get reminded of it quite a bit that, anyway, between meetings, I didn't realize, but you know, they're pretty smart when they're younger, and she actually got on this computer and decided to do something I didn't realize. And so when I come up to the meeting, and we're starting the meeting, and it's all quiet, and all of a sudden I just open the computer up, and it says, deal or no deal. She had loaded that down and was playing that. I didn't know that. I was like, shit. I think everybody heard me though, but anyway. But again, I do want to thank everyone, administration, they're tremendous. I mean, I wouldn't be leaving if I thought this situation here at the school district wasn't, but just top notch. I think we have great administrators, we have great staff, we have great facilities, and just a tremendous situation here. I just, you know, I can't, if I felt uncomfortable, then I wouldn't leave, but I don't at all. And I think they're going to do a great job. I'm very respectful of everybody on the board. They've done a great job. They put a ton of effort into it, and they're here for the right reasons. They're here for the kids. And I want to introduce my cousin, William Bowes. William, stand up there just for a second. This is William. This is my replacement here. So anyway, you're going to have a lot of fun with William. He's a great guy. I respect him highly, or I wouldn't have tried to recruit him. And fortunately, he won without an election. So anyway, then again, speaking of elections, we have one coming up, and Mr. Daughtry's up. He does a great job. Don't forget to vote. They're here early, or vote on, what's the date?
Early voting started today.
Got it. That's right. Okay. I think that's all after all that. Okay.
All right, I'm going to forego the normal announcements on page 212. You will see those there. Number of events coming up. It's ending fast and furious, so just ask you to stay tuned to those. But I said a lot of comments earlier. I'll just kind of end with this. You know, a lot of things happen behind the scenes to make things happen in the school district, and that's in really all of our positions. And the board role is a very challenging one, and I think you kind of said it, it's a very public role. You know, it's a very public role. Obviously, there's elections, but also everything you do is very public, and we know it takes a lot from the family. And I just want to say thank you to the Elkins family for being there for Dick the entire time, and just supporting him and caring for him and putting up with late meetings, but also just the stress that leaves the meeting sometimes to try to, you know, handle difficult things, because a lot of times things are, you know, there's just not a right or a wrong. We have to make judgments, and those are the hardest ones. And so just thank you for being there for him, and really all of your families. We know they put a lot of effort into supporting you in these evenings when you're not able to be home. And there's a tremendous amount that's, again, put into the work that's done in the district. So congratulations, and I know it's going to be exciting for you. So, anyway.
Well, looking forward to it. Hopefully maybe Heidi and I can travel a little bit. So you got that recorded. Uh-oh, that's not good.
Mr. Elkins.
Seeing there's no further business?
Seeing there's no further business to come before this board, make a motion, we adjourn.
All those in favor, everybody. There you go. Adjourn.